I had accumulated daily fatigue and was just taking a brief nap when my husband came home and was furious at the sight of me.
Just a part-timer and you're napping? Get a hold of yourself.
I didn't mean to,
No housewife should sleep more than 3 hours. If you sleep a minute over, we're getting a divorce.
He must have thought he'd won the argument, smirking at me. But I'm not a weak person who backs down from such things. I'll use his words against him and turn the situation around. My name is Rachel Williams, and I'm 28. After marriage, I quit my job to become a full-time housewife supporting my husband. My husband, Jack, is 32. He is an engineer at an IT company and was my former boss. We originally knew each other from work, and he was the one who approached me. For better or worse, my husband can be very strict. Even when we were dating, I was often scolded. Does anyone normally speak like this to their partner? That's what I first thought. He distinguishes between public and private and doesn't let personal feelings interfere. I was attracted to his straightforwardness. It was his idea for me to become a full-time housewife. When I was contemplating continuing my work after marriage, he said,
I want you to take care of the house. I'll be the one to work and earn for us.
I remember responding anxiously. But wouldn't it be better to keep working and save up until we have kids?
I want the house to be clean when I come back. I'm not good at housework, so I want to ask you, Rachel.
I see. If that's what you want, Jack, I guess I'll give being a housewife a shot.
Yeah, please do. I can take care of the income on my own.
And so I became a full-time housewife just as my husband wanted. I was never particularly good at housework, but I didn't dislike it. After a year of marriage, I've come to realize something. Being a full-time housewife is surprisingly unbusy. Typically, the picture of a housewife is someone who's so consumed by chores that they barely have any time for themselves. But in reality, I'm done with all my housework by noon. Living in a single-story house might be a factor, as it's not as large as a 2-story home, thus less cleaning. Additionally, we don't have any kids, so it doesn't take that much time. Preparing meals is simple enough. Once I make breakfast and dinner for the both of us, I just whip up something quick for my lunch. Laundry isn't a daily task, which inevitably leaves me with free time. Another boring day. I sigh softly as I watch daytime TV. I could go out, but I don't have an income of my own, so shopping isn't exactly guilt-free. Meeting up with friends is difficult too, because everyone works during weekdays. On top of that, we live far from the town, out in the countryside. I would have preferred to live in an apartment near my workplace, but my husband Jack wanted our own home, so we ended up buying a newly built house in this remote rural area. It's fields as far as the eye can see, with the neighbors' houses quite far apart. Making new friends in such a place is next to impossible. Nonetheless, I have to remember that it was Jack who took out a mortgage to buy this house for us. As a full-time housewife, I'm not in a position to complain. I started doing this diet dance I saw on TV out of sheer boredom. It's simply dancing along to the videos they show. It works out the whole body, and my figure is becoming more toned with every session. I initially started it so as not to disappoint Jack after our marriage, but it has since become a daily routine. Once I finish my diet dance, I find myself with nothing to do. This leaves me with way too much time on my hands. I couldn't stand it anymore and decided to discuss it with Jack when he came home. Hey Jack, can we talk?
Huh? What's up?
You know, I've been thinking, a year into our marriage, being a full-time housewife leaves me with a lot of free time. I was thinking maybe I could start working a bit.
Work? No, I want you to take care of the house perfectly.
I understand that, and I'll continue doing the housework properly. But it feels like a waste to just sit at home doing nothing. My husband Jack seemed discontent with the request, but I continued to explain my intentions to him nonetheless. Please, Jack, even if it's just a part-time job for a few hours, can't I work a little?
But what part-time jobs are even around here?
The bakery nearby is hiring part-timers. It's just about 4 hours in the afternoon, and it won't interfere with the housework, okay?
Alright, but under one condition. Don't slack off with the housework, okay?
Sure, thank you, Jack. With his permission, I went to the bakery in our neighborhood the next day. They seemed to be short-staffed, and I was hired on the spot. That's how I started working outside again after a year. There was a pile of unfamiliar tasks I had to learn, but I was more than happy to be able to work. Maybe because my daily life became a bit tougher, I started sleeping more soundly than before. Then, one day, my usual 5 p.m. part-time shift ended up being extended until 6 p.m. I rushed home and started preparing dinner, but Jack got home before it was ready.
I'm home. What's going on? Is dinner not ready yet?
I'm sorry, I just got home myself. We had a lot of customers today, so I had to stay until 6 p.m.
Overtime.
But it'll be ready soon. Jack, please have a seat and wait. Then, suddenly, I heard Jack's loud tisk. I stopped my hands in surprise and saw him glaring at me with a fierce expression. Jack?
This is exactly why I told you to stay a housewife. I knew from the start that the housework would be neglected.
Wait a minute, today was just a one-time thing.
Don't talk back. Didn't we promise that you won't slack off on the housework? Despite that, what's with this situation? Are you mocking me?
I'm not trying to mock you. I was taken aback by Jack's expression, which I had never seen before, and my voice trembled in fear. I was so scared that my legs gave out and I dropped the spatula. Regardless of my state, he continued to yell at me.
If something like this happens again, I'm going to make you quit your part-time job, got it? If you're fine with that, then go ahead. I mean it.
Leaving these words behind, Jack hurriedly left, saying,
I'm going out to eat.
Released from my anxiety, my tears began to flow uncontrollably. Why did he get so angry just because I was a bit late? It was just because work ran late today. I mulled over my actions, but I could not comprehend his anger. From that day on, Jack's patriarchal behavior escalated. He treated me as if I was a maid.
Hey, when will you finally get it together and make a decent packed lunch? This is disgusting.
I'm sorry, but I made the fried chicken you liked today.
How many times have I told you not to talk back? Because of your terrible lunches, I've been forced to buy convenience store meals for lunch. I'll deduct that from next month's household expenses, got it?
But you've been steadily reducing the budget compared to before. It's already a stretch as it is.
Shut up. All of this is because you're incapable. Or what? Are you saying we should divorce now, huh?
Jack pulled out a filled-out divorce form from his bag and thrust it in front of me. I had no choice but to apologize. I knelt there, begging for forgiveness until he was satisfied. I'm sorry. Living through this hell, the word divorce gradually started to flicker in my mind. But I was just a part-timer with no life skills. I could hardly muster the courage to take the step towards divorce. I gradually got used to waking up at 5 a.m. and quietly cleaned the house and prepared breakfast. I finished all the housework and dinner preparation in the morning, then headed to my part-time job in the afternoon. Those were my days. Of course, if you keep up with this routine, fatigue builds up. In my case, the emotional exhaustion was more severe than the physical. One day, the store manager at my part-time job seemed to notice my condition.
Rachel, you seem tired lately. Are you okay?
Manager, I'm sorry. I'm fine.
You look awfully pale. It's slow today. Why don't you clock out early?
But...
No buts. Consider it a thank you for your hard work. Take one of those freshly baked breads we just made.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Grateful for the manager's generosity, I decided to leave work early. As soon as I got home, I surrendered to my fatigue and collapsed onto the couch. The next thing I knew, I had fallen asleep. A few hours later...
Hey, wake up already.
Huh?
Wake up, you lazy bum. What are you doing sleeping?
Jolted awake, I found my husband Jack shouting furiously with a demonic expression on his face. When I managed to sit up and look at the clock, it was already past 6:30 in the evening. I felt the blood drain from my body, and the warning signs flashed in my mind.
Do you ever get tired of making me angry?
I'm sorry.
Do you think you can take a nap because you're just a part-time worker? Getting a little too comfortable, aren't we?
It's not like I was trying to.
Don't talk back to me. No housewife should sleep over 3 hours in the afternoon.
As I fell silent, Jack continued to glare down at me with his terrifying expression.
Why are you silent? It's your own laziness that's the problem, isn't it?
Well...
It's a luxury for a housewife to sleep more than 3 hours. If you ever exceed a minute of those 3 hours, I'll divorce you in a heartbeat. Got it?
Huh?
It's not a huh. You're living a comfortable life because of me. So just shut up and listen. You're so useless.
That's when it happened, when the frustration that had been building up inside me exploded. Why hadn't I realized this before? This life, I was only torturing myself. I am done being a slave. I'm going to end this life as quickly as possible. After the perfect revenge, of course. I whispered softly in front of him. I understand, but remember, no complaints no matter what happens, okay?
Huh? What do you mean no matter what happens? At most, you'll probably collapse from lack of sleep.
We'll see. Anyway, I'll stick to the 3-hour sleep rule, so don't worry.
It'll be interesting to see how long you can keep this up. You'll probably end up divorced soon.
My husband laughed smugly. But for me, divorce was already a done deal. Now the only thing left was to take my revenge on him. That was the only thing on my mind. When I woke up, it was 2 in the morning. Since I fell asleep at 11 p.m., it was exactly 3 hours of sleep. When I turned on the light in the bedroom, my soundly sleeping husband groaned and covered himself with a blanket. Ignoring him, I took out the vacuum cleaner and started cleaning the room. Surprised by the sound, my husband jumped up and yelled at me.
Hey, what are you doing? Do you even know what time it is?
Huh? It's just a bit past 2 a.m.
Are you nuts? Why the hell are you vacuuming at this ungodly hour? Show some common sense.
Muttering to himself, my husband covered himself with the blanket again. Once I made sure he had fallen back asleep, I headed to the living room next door. Turning on the TV as loudly as I could, I started playing a high-energy aerobics workout video. Dancing along with the video, I could hear loud stomping from the next room. A red-faced Jack was glaring at me. And once again, he yelled at me.
You, don't mess around. I said it's too noisy.
Oh, sorry. I'll lower the volume a bit.
That's not the point. Your dancing noise is resonating and it's too loud. Just be quiet and sleep.
Well, I can't do that because I already slept for 3 hours today.
What? Anyway, it's disturbing the neighbors.
Don't worry about it. After all, we live in the countryside and there aren't any houses around, are there? Haha.
Huh?
With a twisted expression, Jack looked at my beaming face. From that day on, I began to wake up at 2 a.m. every night to do all the housework. From 2 a.m., I ran the vacuum cleaner, the washing machine, and everything else. The spare time was for dancing exercises. Continuing this routine, Jack finally cried out a week later.
I beg you, give me a break. I have an important meeting first thing in the morning.
Huh? But I have to do the housework.
Just sleep, please.
But I've already slept for 3 hours. That's the rule, right? Oh, should I make some coffee to avoid getting sleepy? I'll start from grinding the beans in the mill. Wanna join?
Please spare me. I beg you. I'm on my knees.
For the first time, Jack bowed his head to me. Looking down at him, I coldly retorted, "Is that all you wanted to say?"
Huh?
You only bow your head for your own sake? Nothing else to say?
No, I just want a good night's sleep for tomorrow's meeting.
At his words, love froze from the bottom of my heart. He didn't think anything of the harsh words he had been saying to me? Huh? You want to sleep in? You push housework onto others and then tell them not to sleep more than 3 hours while you intend to sleep as much as you want? Don't be ridiculous. What do you think I've been feeling all this time living like this? You who can't even understand people's feelings have no right to marry and support someone.
Hey, calm down. I didn't mean to.
You've said it before, haven't you? Don't make excuses. I'll throw those words right back at you. Instead of making excuses, how about just saying, "I'm sorry. I'm completely fed up with you. You're such a jerk, I'll divorce you." I pulled out the divorce papers from his bag and filled them out on the spot. The next morning, I submitted the divorce papers at the city hall and packed my things to return to my parents' home. And so, I put an end to my relationship with my dominating husband. Afterwards, Jack's life was completely changed by my absence. The house turned into a mess, and even his suits for work became disheveled. He began eating out for every meal and soon fell ill. He started going to work looking worse every day, and people at work began distancing themselves from him.
Hey, did you hear that Jack got dumped by his wife?
That's plausible. Jack is harsh to others, but super lenient with himself.
And not very competent either.
Whispered gossip began to spread, and it became increasingly uncomfortable for him at work. I heard he's been absent without permission a lot lately. If things keep going this way, it'll only be a matter of time before he gets fired. As for me, I'm now commuting from my parents' house to the bakery. When I told the manager about my divorce, he asked me to work full-time. The salary is good, so I plan to continue working there for a while. I will live my life to the fullest from here on out.